One of the more interesting things about the world of Dispatch is how heroes are viewed, and the legacy they build seems to be remembered by the people they protect. And one of the longer lasting legacies in the game is the story of Mechaman, which has now been a part of saving the city of Torrance for 3 generations. It began with Bobby, Mechaman Prime, and then Robbie, his son, Mechaman Astral, and finally Robert, simply known as Mechaman. The world doesn't know the identity of Mechaman, they just know that he's been a hero and a protector to them for decades. Now, according to the information that we have, the most successful of these Mechaman may have been Astral, according to Robert. His father was a millionaire, so Robbie was pretty damn successful as a hero and as a normal person, since he seemed to be a rocket scientist. It also seems pretty clear that Robbie enjoyed the spotlight. He enjoyed being Mechaman and enjoyed the praise he got from others. He always seemed to want to be front and center, as we can see when he joined the Brave Brigade team. He became their leader or their face of the team. It would seem clear that with all the attention, his successful life, and the money and power at his disposal, he could be easily influenced or cocky, making the person behind Mechaman Astral not as heroic or pure as he would seem. The few people to really know the man behind the mask are his team, the Brave Brigade, which include one of his closest friends in Chase, Shroud, his eventual killer, and then his son Robert would obviously know him very well. Throughout the game's story, we find out that Robert and his dad didn't have the best of relationships. It seemed like Robbie was very tough on Robert growing up, and he really showed him that tough love. It appeared that it was the only kind of love that Robert knew from his father. He also tells Roy that he didn't talk much with his dad, and that superhero work and other things kept him very busy. We can also infer that Robert spent a lot of time with Chase, who babysat him often, and maybe grew to love and appreciate Chase more due to his father's lack of love or absence. Now, one of the questions I asked today is, did Robert hate his father? Because if I'm being honest, I've seen the fan base of Dispatch have a huge discussion surrounding Robbie and how terrible of a person he was. Some calling him a narcissist or an asshole. Many saying that he was an evil person playing a hero, and how his treatment of Robert was so bad and awful. But if we look at the story of Dispatch and the facts, I never get that sense that Robert hated his father or even disliked him. If anything, I feel like Robert was distant from his father and wished he knew him more. It seems like Robert loved his dad regardless. And if we look at the events that took place after his father's death, we see Robert inheriting the millions his father had. We see Robert picking up his father's legacy and continuing the fight as Mechaman, even after he was dead broke. We see him chasing Shroud to get revenge for the death of his father. All those actions tell me that Robert cared deeply for his father, and maybe he was trying to make him proud. Maybe he was trying to make up for something. I mean, let's look at his answer to the news reporter that asked if his dad would be disappointed in him.
Most heroes avenge their family. You did the opposite. You killed their legacy. How disappointed would your dad be if he were here right now? Your father, your grandfather, they must be rolling over in their graves.
I think he'd be proud, because I'm alive. Which, as you so sensitively pointed out, he isn't. I think he knows that I sacrificed everything and that I did my best. Being Mechaman, protecting my community, was the greatest honor I'll ever have. Now I have to live knowing that. Thank you for coming.
What I'm trying to say is that throughout the whole story, I never really hear Robert talk terribly about his dad. I really don't think he hated him. And then another question that we could ask ourselves is, was Robbie, Mechaman Astral, a bad person or an evil person playing a hero? And if we look deeper, you can find in comics 3 and 4 a lot more information on Robbie and his personality. We see him multiple times making fun of Elliot or pushing him to the side. We also seem to have Robbie take credit for the Astral Pulse or become ungrateful to Elliot for helping him create it. He continuously pushed Elliot away from the Brave Brigade team and canceled the vote to make him a official member numerous times. Robbie seemed to be very self-centered and egotistical, but at the end of the day, he was a hero that helped others, whether it was for personal gain or because he really cared. I don't know. I mean, if a place was getting robbed or a little kid was about to die and Mechaman Astral came and swooped to the rescue and said, "You're welcome," and left, he's a hero. Like nobody really knows him beyond the mask, and the people that he's helping probably don't care to. They just know that Mechaman Astral is there to save the day. Now, was Robbie helping others because it helped his image and therefore it helped him personally and gain more money and fame? Or did he help others because he really cared? I don't know. And he seemed to have a good relationship with Chase as well. Who's to say that he didn't have a good relationship with the other members of the Brave Brigade? Maybe he just had a strong dislike towards Eli because he knew that something was off about him. Eli seemed obsessive about things, and maybe it rubbed Robbie the wrong way. Maybe Robbie could have tried to help Eli and mentor him instead of the route that he took, berating him every chance he got, but maybe that's not who Robbie was. Even in his fight with Eli, when Eli challenges Robbie, he talks down on Eli. He tells him he's not even worth turning on the ignition for the Mechaman suit. He throws a towel in his face and mercilessly beats him into a bloody pulp. The only reason it didn't go even further was because Chase stepped in and stopped it. And honestly, afterwards, Robbie didn't even seem to have a care in the world about it. He does tell Chase later that he never really saw that Eli had that hero in him, and that's why he treated him the way that he did. Again, that's probably not the right way to go about things, but if I'm being fully honest, and I may be telling on myself here, but I never really saw what he did to Eli as all that bad. I wouldn't personally have gone that route. I mean, I probably wouldn't have beat him to a bloody pulp, but Eli did challenge him, and he should have known what type of person Robbie was. So if anything, Eli should have been more on guard. I mean, Robbie seemed like a strong-headed guy that honestly got angry very fast. I really don't know. I'm not going to sit here and defend Robbie, but I also don't see the real evil person that others claim that he was. Quite frankly, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe the anti-hero stuff has been in my head too much. Maybe I played with Kratos too much, but I just didn't see Robbie beating the shit out of Eli as all bad. And Eli didn't seem like a very good person. Eli, like I said, seemed obsessive. And if you look at some of the concept art that Eli had, he had this like Mechaman outfit when he was younger. He just seemed like one of those people that get obsessive about something and then turns into a stalker and then turns into a murderer. And so I don't know, the relationship just seemed really weird between those two characters in particular. Now, lastly, the tough love that Robbie gave Robert made him into the man that we know him as. I think without that tough love and without the experiences as a child that Robert had, he may not have turned into Mechaman and felt like he had this responsibility. Maybe Robbie loved Robert, but he also knew what kind of world they lived in. I mean, he told Chase that the supervillains out there wouldn't hold their punches. Maybe Robbie was trying to teach his son and prepare him for the future. Maybe he also knew that the legacy of Mechaman had to continue, and Robert being his only son, he knew he needed him to take the mantle at some point. Did Robbie go about it the right way? Maybe not, but he taught his son the only way he knew how. We don't know much about Bobby, Robbie's dad, but maybe Bobby taught Robbie the same way, and sometimes that stuff gets passed down, and that's why Robbie was so hard and so strict on Robert. I mean, when Robert almost died and lost that chunk of his ear, his father ran in there and checked on him first, and then when he knew that he was okay, he told him to get up, because although this may be really hard to see, he needed his son to overcome it. And what happened when the bomb that Vizzy planted on his suit went off and he fell? He was in the middle of the desert laying down, injured and hurt. And all that he heard was his father's words saying, "Get up." I think sometimes we make the best out of the situations that we are given. And I think Robert did that. And that's why he remembers his father in a certain way. And I think Robert tries to take the good that he did see in his dad and use it. But he also tries to avoid the bad that he saw in his dad and be a better man overall. Because at the end of the day, that's all that matters. Being better than those that came before, or at least trying really hard to be.